Okay, good day, everyone. Welcome to the final stage of the preliminary of the 2025 Nationwide Inter-Secondary School Debate Competition. My name is Maimuna Isa, and I'll be your moderator for the competition. Today's debate centers on the motion this House would provide free farmland to reduce unemployment in Nigeria. And I repeat, this House would provide free farmland to reduce unemployment in Nigeria. This topic raises important about economic policy, social welfare, and sustainable development. As we begin the debate, I encourage both sides to present their arguments with evidence to support their points, and engage respectfully with opposing views. The goal of this debate is not to only win an argument, but to explore the complexities of the issue and understand multiple perspectives. So each speaker has 6 minutes to make their arguments, and then there's going to be a time frame for POIs. That's from the third minute to the fourth minute, and I'll let you know when it's time for POIs by doing this. I'll show you my POI notes. When you see this, you know it's time for POIs. And when you want to ask POIs, you simply raise your hand. You don't have to shout POI, just raise your hand for a POI. And then it is up to the speaker to either accept your POI or decline your POI. And then after the main arguments, the first speeches, the first speaker, second speaker, third speaker are done from both opposing and proposing sides. Then we'll have our reply speeches, which lasts for 2 minutes. And in that round, you're not to add more points, but to summarize what everyone has said. So please, who is proposing? Is it Benue or Nasarawa?
Benue is proposing, why Nasarawa is opposing.
Okay.
Benue is proposing, why Nasarawa is opposing.
Okay, I got that. So now we are going to start with the first proposing speaker, and your time starts in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's have it.
Good to the high table, my colleagues and my audience. I am by name Aduba Sonia, the lead speaker from side proposition, here to propose the motion. This House will provide free farmland to reduce unemployment in Nigeria. As the lead speaker, I'll establish a protocol for my team. I'll also define the key terms and lay the foundation for today's arguments in this match. My first supporting speaker in the same spirit will portray and stand on this motion by speaking on increased income, increased GDP, reduce rural-urban migration, among other points. While my second supporting speaker will report argument made from side opposition, and if time permits, proceed with your points. But before I proceed my argument, as the lead speaker, permit me to define the key terms. The key terms in this motion are free farmland and unemployment. Free farmland refers to land given to citizens at no cost, while unemployment refers to a state or condition where individuals or citizens who are willing and capable to look for jobs cannot see jobs. Panel and my audience, with my key terms clearly defined, permit me to further proceed my argument. I'll be presenting my argument on 2 angles. Panel, firstly, we'll speak on the second, the social angle, and secondly, the economic benefits of the free farmland in Nigeria, our country. Panel and my audience, on the first angle, which is the social angle, we'll be giving real-life illustrations and examples, and also statistical evidences, protesting our stand on why this free farmland is necessary as it helps in gender empowerment. That brings me to my first level of analysis. That will prove to you how the presence of this free farmland will lead to gender empowerment for women. Panel and my audience, in Nigeria, where women are the heart of agriculture, women doing 50% of all the farming processes, from planting to harvesting and processing to selling. These women are not recognized. These women are being looked down on. Panel and my audience, don't you think that this free farmland giving will help these women maintain their stand in this society? Yes, according to a report by the Food and Agricultural Organization in 2023, found out that women own less than 15% of farmland. Panel and my audience, less than 15%. Isn't this alarming? Doesn't this call for need for free farmland so that these women can gain access to these qualities, these necessities in the community? Panel and my audience, this means that women do most of the work in the farm. They do everything in the farm, but they have the least control, the least income, and even the least recognition. These women need to be seen, and this gender discrimination must stop. Panel and my audience, they farm on borrowed land, and they also farm under this men's authority. This is giving the men the chance to look down on them, which is not fair. Panel and my audience, guess what? This free farmland will lead to improvisation, as it will give women, especially rural women and single mothers, ownership, independence, and even dignity. Pardon my audience, it might interest you to know that in 2019, Ethiopia's land certification program gave women equal land access, and this rose their productivity by 35%. Pardon my audience, free farmland doesn't just plant crops, it plants equality. When a woman owns her own land, she owns her own future. And when millions of women own land, panel my audience, it will shock you to know that they own the nation's future. Panel, I will permit me to ask my well-looking friends in argument a question as this debate moves on. If women can feed the nation on borrowed land, what then can they do with lands of their own? Don't you think it is time to give these women their land and equal access to such rights so that they can display their potentials for the nation's benefit? This will take me to my second level of analysis. We'll prove to you how this free farmland will lead to youth engagement and crime reduction. Panel, my audience, the crime rate in our society is alarming. The crime rate in our society calls for order, and Nigeria's biggest asset is becoming our biggest risk due to unemployment. According to a report in 2023 by the National Bureau of Statistics, this shows that the rate of unemployed people in Nigeria are up to 53%. Panel, my audience, 53%. This means that half of the nation's youth are suffering. Half of the nation's youth are vulnerable to crime, are vulnerable and are seeking for jobs that they are not seeing. Panel, don't you think that this free farmland will help them, will cultivate them, and will also make their energy targeted to a place that will help both the society and the individual? Panel, my audience, I would like to let you know that when energy does not find this direction, it leads to destruction. I repeat, when energy does not find direction, it leads to destruction. Isn't it better we convert the energy and channel it towards this agricultural means? Isn't it better? Because wouldn't this help the economy at large? Pardon my audience, these youths are suffering. These youths are without jobs. These youths are people who have gone to school and do not have any job to show for it. Don't you think that this free farmland will give them a job? This free farmland will reduce rate, because when people are busy earning a living, they have no time to hold a gun. When people are earning a living, they have no time to participate in crimes yes, your POI. Okay, panel, my audience. The young man who has a harvest to tend will now have a gun to hold. It gives you something to protect instead of something to destroy. It changes the narrative from government did not care for us to government has done this for us. Don't you want that good name for our government? Do we not think that it is time for the government to give room for these youth and these unemployed people in the nation access so that they can be able to defend us, to serve their motherland with all their strength? Pardon my audience, should we keep putting our youth straight holes for handcuffs, or should we give them the land that will keep their hands clean? Pardon my audience, this is wiser to give them a farmland to plant crops than a prison to plant regrets. The economic benefit of this is also clear. Yes, your POI.
You mentioned that these women do not have. Yes, you mentioned that these women in agriculture do not have recognition. Are we actually looking for recognition, or how to reduce unemployment in the nation?
We are looking for recognition, because when these women are recognized, it will help, because these women now will be involved. And also, it is not as if all the men are unemployed. There are equally women out there who need this job. So when these women are recognized in the society as people who can do all these capable things, they'll be given positions to hold, they'll be jobs, and this will reduce the rate of unemployment in the society. I believe I've answered. Importing free farmland to reduce the rate of unemployment in Nigeria. Pardon my audience, I have been able to speak on this point without much challenge from my opponents. This is to say that they have given it to a key submission. Let the most understand. Thank you.
Thank you for that insightful point. She made use of 7 minutes. Our next speaker from the opposition. And your time starts in 5, 4, 3, 2.
Do you know how to mute the camera? Yes. So mute the
Nasarawa, can we have your time starts in 3, 2, 1.
You know what? They're not online. They're just not online. Maybe they have network problem. Memuna, they are back.
Okay. Team Nasarawa, let's have your first opposing speaker. Your time starts in 5, 4, 3.
What I have a complaint.
Sorry?
I have a complaint. Immediately after the proposition team, I couldn't hear them any longer.
Well, we could. Ma?
I'm not getting you clearly right now.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now. I can't hear you.
Couldn't hear the proposing side, but the judges could have heard
I said
them.
immediately, but we didn't. But we did not hear them.
I'm pretty sure the judges heard them, and I also. Let's go. But the time starts in 5, 4, 3. Can't hear. 5, 4, 1. Start.
When people land with no means to use it productively, it's just like giving them cars without fuel. Similarly, a tree planted without care bears no fruit, suggesting that without support and care,
Hold on. Coach, focus camera on her now. Focus camera on her. We're not seeing her well. Okay. Go ahead.
Shall I start? May I start now?
1, begin.
Giving people land without the means to use it productively is like giving them cars without tractor, without fuel. Similarly, a tree planted without care bears no fruit, suggesting that without support and effort, free land will be wasted instead of curbing unemployment in Nigeria. Good day, Mr. Chairman, the moderator, panel of impartial adjudicators, accurate timekeeper, my co-debaters, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Peace Eli, representing Nasarawa State. I and my team are here to strongly oppose the motion which state that
I can't hear her. Am I the only one?
It's simple.
This helps to provide free farmland to reduce unemployment in Nigeria. Being employment is a state where people who are willing and able to work cannot find reasonable jobs.
Hold on. Coach, Coach, I'm not happy what you are doing to this your team. You are told to use a stable network. You're using your phone to supposed to have a dedicated internet for this. Your network is cracking. Can barely hear you. And it's going to affect your team. You are asked to get a stable network. You are using a phone.
That's make your team. That's how about you start from.
Your network is a problem. You're supposed to have used a stable network. You are in the meeting, our meeting that day. They are off again. They have network issues. Okay, can start now. Start our debate fast.
Start in 3, 2, 1.
Starting afresh. Giving people land without the means to use it productively is like giving cars without fuel. Similarly, a tree planted without care bears no fruit, suggesting that with support and effort to this free land will actually be wasted instead of curbing unemployment in Nigeria. Good day, Mr. Chairman, the moderator, panel of impartial adjudicators, accurate timekeeper, my co-debaters, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Peace Eli, representing Nasarawa State. I and my team are here to strongly oppose the motion which state that this house will provide free farmland to reduce unemployment in Nigeria. Being the lead speaker of the opposition, I'll begin by stating our argument firmly by defining the key terms as well as giving a brief history to enable each and every one of us to recognize what is at stake. Firstly, what is free farmland? Free farmland refers to government-provided agricultural farmland at no cost at all, often either to individual or group, primarily aimed at enabling farming activity across the country. Unemployment is a state where individuals who are able and need to work cannot find reasonable jobs. Reduce unemployment intention of the government to create. And lastly, what is provide? Provide implies a systematic, continuous, and large-scale government effort to make land available across the country. Panel of adjudicators. While this motion may sound appealing at a first glance, we must first examine its legal, economic, as well as social implications before actually drawing a curtain to this motion. And that is what the team opposition is here to do. Now to the history. Historically, land in Nigeria was governed by customary law. What do I mean? And family controlling access. However, there was a drastic change in the 1978 with the enactment of the Land Use Act, which vests all the land in the state in the hands of the governor in interest of the people. And mind you, this is Nigeria's most significant land reform policy. This legal framework shows that free farmland is not just a policy question, but rather a constitutional and legal challenge. The same opposition now proceed to expose deeper flaws in the team opposition case of argument with the following points to back up our argument. Firstly, land is not free under Nigerian law. Land allocation is often politicized and prone to corruption. Many Nigerian youth are not even interested and have little or no farming experience. Farming is not just about land, it's about input, irrigation, as well as equipment. Security threats hinders farming across the country. Free land will likely trigger land conflict. Land use without training results in low productivity rather than employment. Free land doesn't guarantee sustainability. Youth migration trends favor urban jobs. I will take the first 5 points, while my first supporting speaker will take the next 5 points, and our third speaker will reinforce, refute, as well as re-emphasize our stand in the motion. before we set our 4 points in full, I want the House to be fully aware and clear about this, that the team opposition are not against agriculture. Rather, we are against free land allocation to curb unemployment. Now to our points in full. Firstly, land is not free under Nigerian law. What do I mean by this? I earlier stated the Land Use Act of 1978. This land reform has vested all land in each state in governance and in trust for the people, that guarantee individual legal ownership. This legal framework means that any large-scale free farmland policy will face major constitutional as well as regulatory issues. Secondly, security threats in farming. According to an article in the Punch newspaper in June 2025, over 3,600 farmers have lost their lives from year 2016 to the year 2018 in their farmland. To be more practical and precise about this, just in June 2025, the UNICEF Humanitarian Support Situation Report confirms that in Yelwata, in Goma local government area of Benue State, left over 200 people dead and more than 3,000 residents displaced. An article in Vanguard newspaper just on the 13th of October this month shows how gunmen invade Nasarawa communities and kill 9 and abduct 6 in their farmland. Free farmland without security, hear me and hear me well, will not lead to employment, but rather loss of lives. Thirdly, many youths have no experience in farming and does not even have access. As you all know, the major workforce of any nation are the youth. If these youths are not even interested in farming, then giving them free farmland will mean chasing shadows rather than the real issue. According to the IFAD in 2023, giving statistics to back up my argument, over 48% of rural youths prefer urban tech job to this farming. If these youths are not interested in farming, Mr. Chairman, panel of adjudicators, how then can we see that giving this free farmland will actually curb unemployment in the country? It will just make them result into things like stealing or pilfering to be able to make money if they are not interested in this. Besides, you can never be good in anything you don't really put your heart to it. If they are not really interested in this farming, how then can we be sure that giving them free farmland will actually curb unemployment in Nigeria? Mr. Chairman, sir, the team opposition have been able to present with concrete evidence points on legal challenge, security threats, and loss of passion that no, this house should not give free farmland to curb unemployment in Nigeria. In conclusion, with this, I say that let team opposition have the argument, because we have been able to provide without reasonable doubt and any contradicting idea statistics that back up our argument. Thank you.
30 seconds. The time starts in 1.
Today, we gather to address a critical issue that has been affecting our continent for far too long: unemployment. 1 million of our youth are unemployed. They are idle, and our economy being unstable. We have undefined future. As the chief supporting speaker, I will be buttressing on the arguments of my lead speaker by proving to you why this house should provide free farmland to decrease unemployment rates here in Nigeria. But before I proceed my point, I would like to give honor to whom honor is due. And with this, I say, good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, the impartial panel of judges, the accurate timekeeper, the moderator, my co-debaters, and my esteemed audience. Agriculture is the backbone of every economy, and it remains a sector with untapped potentials. By giving free farmlands to youth, it will help reduce unemployment by making them no longer be idle, reducing crime rates in the country, and even reducing the social unrest that they find around them. If youth are idle, what else do we expect them to do? For example, a youth was caught that stole 1 cup of garri. When the youth was asked, why did you do that? The youth said, because government did not provide jobs for us. Poverty and unemployment is the root cause of criminal acts in the whole world. And if these free farmlands are given, it will help to curb unemployment. Nigeria has over 98 million hectares of land. I mean, 98 million hectares of arable land. Yet, we import food from other neighboring countries, and this is reducing our economic growth and development. The money that needs to be channeled to other resources, such as healthcare, education, and infrastructure, is being channeled to these unemployed people. How can you now say that free farmland should not be provided or does not reduce unemployment rates?
Well, by giving our youth access to land, training, and resources, we can help make our youth dependent. We can make them to become entrepreneurs. We can make them to become job creators and not necessarily job seekers. And as I earlier said, it will also reduce crime rates in the world. We can empower them to create jobs and feed our nation. Let us look at increased income. Provision of free farmland to reduce unemployment can also help to increase income to these employers, and it will also enhance educational resources, provision of healthcare, and development of infrastructure. It will also reduce rural-urban migration. Now, due to unemployment here in Nigeria, we notice that those in villages come to cities and towns, and this threatens the potential and services of those rural areas. But when free farmlands are being given to youth in Nigeria, it will reduce unemployment rate and even make those citizens of urban areas to go back to their alma mater. Don't you think that this will also reduce the strain on resources even in urban areas? Furthermore, increase GDP and economic growth. Yes, provision of free farmland can help increase the gross domestic product of our country and have a significant impact on improving the country's economic growth and development. This can also help in the initiative of providing food security and even import substitution. As I earlier said, most food are being imported from other countries, and we have 0%, I mean 0% of the security of those food. It will also reduce import substitution. It will make us less reliant on imported goods, but rather make us masters of exporting resources and even goods such as food and other agricultural products to other countries. With an annual rice consumption of about 3.2 million metric tons, I mean 3.2 million metric tons, Nigeria still imports food from other countries. Don't you think free farmland will even curb the way in which we import food from other countries? But giving, Nigeria will provide the required funds and even other. Yes, your POI.
Said by giving our youth access, training, and input. But may I remind you that the motion only said land, but not in training and input also. What do you have to say about that? Did you get my POI?
Ask again.
You earlier mentioned that by giving youth land, access, training, and input. But may I remind you that the motion only said give land, not training, not input, and not access. What do you have to say about this?
Also think that before government give these free farmlands to youth to reduce unemployment, they have to be trained. I hope I've been able to answer your question. Back to my argument. By boosting agricultural production, the country can become self-reliant and dependent on its own natural resources. And imported rice and other food items will no longer be imported from other countries. Also, youth engagement. Through provision of free farmland here in Nigeria to reduce unemployment rate, it will also make youth to be empowered. This makes them to rely on what they see around them. Youth will no longer want to do all those social vices, creating crimes and others, but they will also be able to provide food for themselves and for their family. This will not only lead to provision of food for themselves and their family, but they will also provide food for the nation in general. Look around you, team opposition. Everything around you is gotten from agriculture. The clothes you wear, the paint you use, the paper you are using, they are all gotten from agricultural products. Now, how will you tell me that free farmland provision do not provide unemployment? Now, in conclusion, the writing is on the wall. Nigeria's future depends on our ability to innovate and adapt to empower our youth. By doing this, we'll be able to make our youth empowered. We'll be able to reduce unemployment opportunities, and this reduces the effect of crime rate in Nigeria. With this, I've been able to buttress my team stand on this motion, and that is why I say, let the motion stand. Thank you.
And we have our next speaker from opposition. Your time starts in 3, 2, 1.
The issue of the provision of free farmland to reduce unemployment in Nigeria is a setup or ploy for disaster, which is already raging. My adjudicators, there's this popular saying that goes, nothing is free, even in Freetown. Permit me to acknowledge important dignitaries in the House, the chairperson, my adjudicators, my worthy friends in argument, the timekeeper, the moderator. Good afternoon. I am Ayuade Peace, the second speaker for Team Nasarawa State. I speak to solidly reinforce the foundation laid by my first speaker in defense of our stance opposing the motion. This House would provide free farmland to reduce unemployment in Nigeria. Wow, while the idea of free farmland for Nigerians to reduce unemployment might sound fascinating, reality is much more complex. Before I go into my team's next key argument, permit me to address claims by team proposition, claims that may sound convincing until we examine the truth they ignore. Now, team proposition claim that agriculture is our inheritance and it's only right if we go back to it. My adjudicators, team opposition is not saying people shouldn't go into agriculture. Let's not get it wrong. We are only saying the provision of free land without the necessary support, necessary aid, or the necessary financial implication is equal to wasted land assets. They also claim that Nigeria has abundant arable land. Nigeria has land, yes, but do we know that most of this land Nigeria have faces insecurity, faces land disputes and environmental degradation? According to the UNCCD in 2022, 350,000 hectares of land is wasted annually due to environmental factors like erosion and desertification. Now, I've debunked the claims. After debunking the claims made by team proposition, allow me to go into my team argument. Now, economic feasibility. The cost of the giving or provision of free farmland for Nigerians to reduce unemployment is not feasible economically right now. Let's talk about numbers. According to the World Bank in year 2022, Nigeria needs an estimate of $10 billion annually to attain food security. Now, if we decide to give free farmland, the revenue gotten from free farmland in Nigeria right now would not be gotten anymore, and still the government would need to spend extra money to facilitate this innovation. Economically, can Nigeria afford that right now? No, we can't. Furthermore, agricultural productivity. Let's get this straight. The giving of free farmland does not equal to productivity. If we want to be productive, we should know that the giving of just free farmland would not solve the case we are facing right now. We should know that not everybody in Nigeria, not every unemployed individual has the necessary skill and or experience to go into this trade of agriculture. If we want to reduce unemployment, if the reduction of unemployment is the goal, we should know that we have to give innovations that will cut across all fields. Many medical students don't have idea about agricultural practices. Many engineering students don't have idea about agricultural practices. If we want to reduce unemployment, we should go for things that cut across all fields. Furthermore, free farmland doesn't guarantee sustainability. Free farmland doesn't guarantee sustainability. Agriculture is inherently risky. It demands capital, its faith, and returns come in slowly. Free land without adequate support and financial help may lead to abandonment and wastage of land assets, which we cannot risk. Also, security threats. We live in a nation that faces insecurity, from the violent crimes against farmers and herdsmen to those of Boko Haram men fighting the nation currently. Do we know that as at December 2023, over 865 people were killed and thousands displaced in Mangu local government area due to tension between farmers and herders over grazing rights and land ownership in Sokoto? My adjudicators, in conclusion, if we are giving free farmland without markets, without machines, without roads and security rights, we risk giving people the burden of a free farmland, painting the illusion of the solution to their unemployment, which is not going to be so. Team opposition has already presented facts and truths. I urge this House to oppose the motion. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Used a total of 5 minutes, 9 seconds. Now let's have our next speaker from proposition in 3.
Memuna, wait. Please, Benue State, if I see anybody behind your back again, we are going to disqualify your team. That lady at your back, let her leave that place, please. If I see anybody at your back again, we are going to disqualify your team. Go ahead.
Your time is 3, 2, 1.
Standing on the already existing protocol made by my lead speaker and by name Shujaa Goodness Ojoma, the second supporting speaker from side proposition, proposing the motion, this House should provide free farmland to reduce unemployment rate in Nigeria. As the second supporting speaker, it is my duty to rebut arguments made from side proposition and also conclude the case my team, and if time permits, proceed to some point. I've heard team opposition saying that free farmland has led to fuels corruption. But how can you explain with statistical backings and real-world illustration how this free farmland has fuels corruption? Or don't you know that Act has been implemented by the law according to the Act 1978, that free farmland should be given and should also be observed and secured, whereby we have digitalized and computerized settings, whereby we have satellite and also transparent papers and public address where any corruption activities or double allocation of free land to personnel will be trained and be penalized by law. They also claim that lack of skills. How can you give free land when there are lack of skills? But don't you think that the government is not stupid to say there will be free farmland? Of course, they are educated people, so surely there will be skills attached to this. They also say that it has caused loss of life, whereby we have insecurity threats. But can I explain to them deeply that it's because of this same unemployment that people go ahead of killing human beings and collecting bribes, and also killing human beings in their farms and taking off their foodstuffs. So you cannot say if we give free farmland to citizens of the country, it will lead to loss of lives. And also, we thought that you talked about insecurity. Let me tell you, it's skills that have nothing to do. I remember there's an ad saying that an idle man is the devil workshop. So when you have nothing to do, that's when that's when they will cause insecurity in other farms. Side opposition claim that free farmland won't solve unemployment, and because people lack skills, capital, and also market assets. But they don't understand that land is the first factor of production. And without land, skills and market assets will have no outlet. According to the Nigerian National Bureau Statistics, NBS, in 2023, record that unemployment rate is at 33.3%. Yet, 35% of the labor force already works in agriculture. That's to prove that the sector of agriculture is the largest absorber of labor. According to the CBN Agro Borrowers Program from 2005 to 2022, employed 4.6 million smallholders, reduces rice importation by 70%. Panels of judges. So only 30% of rice are being imported from other countries. Then 70% of this rice is now cultivated and planted in our land because of this free farmland that has been given, and has lifted over 2 million subsistence farmers to productive farmers. So that means the free land has engaged farmers into. No, thank you. This free farmland has been given to citizens has encouraged subsistence farmers to productive farming. And also in Kaduna, the youth created 10,000 direct job opportunity through this agriculture. And also, we have the Ebony's Rights Initiative, where they employed 6,000 youth only in 2021. Panels of judges, 6,000 youth in 1 year through agricultural process. And still on, they say that this empowerment has increased by 3 times. So we have an estimated figure of 72,000 youth which are empowered in Ebony currently in 2025. The also my first argument also talked about land distribution will cause ethnic conflict and corruption. But land allocation already under the Land Use Act of 1978, which the governor has been given custodianship over state land. And guess what? Digitization changes the game, whereby Nigeria Land Tenure Regularization Program, according to the World Bank 2020, marked 10.3 million parcels and cut land dispute by 80%. So that means we found out that there was 80% less land dispute. So that means only 20% of land disputes which has been given to Finland that's the analysis launched in 2022 was using satellite mapping and also biometrics to perform double allocations. And parties of judges and my audience, my friends in argument do not understand the context of today's argument. We are not talking about giving free land because insecurity. But no, if we give this free land to youth that are unempowered, we will have less insecurity in Nigeria. Also, we found out in Nasarawa State, due to this free land giving, Nasarawa State has also produced an initiative that's what we call Nasarawa State Initiative Program Agriculture, where they empowered over 20,000 youth in farming, and they have generated over 8 billion naira to agricultural GDP. Panel of judges, we are not talking about billion naira, we are talking about billions and billions naira, 8 billion naira to agricultural GDP. With this, I say, let the motion stand. Thanks.
30 seconds. Now, can we have our last speaker from opposition? Your time starts in 5, 4.
Giving a man a land does not make him a farmer, and giving him a farm does not make him employed. This statement captures the heart of our motion today. Standing on the already established protocol, I am Jonathan Suleiman Danjuma, representing Team Nasarawa State, and building on the solid foundation laid by my chief speaker and my first supporting speaker, I rise as second supporting speaker for the opposition to summarize our case, to identify the flaws in my opponent's reasoning, to rebut their claims, and to reaffirm why free farmland cannot and will not reduce unemployment in Nigeria. Our stance remains firm and factual. Free farmland is not a sustainable, effective, or a secure way to reduce unemployment in Nigeria. Our first speaker already laid the foundation with 5 strong points. The Land Use Act of 1978 prevents true free farmland in Nigeria, and she made us understand that land allocation is politicized and is prone to corruption. She further explained that most unemployed persons lack the skills or interest in farming. And then she expatiated that security threats associated with the move of this motion. She expatiated on security threat associated with the move of this motion. My first supporting speaker built further. She firmly established our stand on the economic, technical, and social impracticality of giving out free farmlands. She firmly distributed that this policy is neither economically feasible or agriculturally productive. She proved that free farmland cannot guarantee sustainability, and rather than creating jobs, it triggers land and communal conflicts, especially in fragile regions. She reminded us that the security threat oftentimes discourage farming, and that today's youth are migrating towards urban and non-farm sectors where innovation and technology drive progress. Her analysis stands unshaken, proving that free farmland is not the solution that Nigeria needs now. Panel of our adjudicators, I would like to face the misconceptions raised by my opponent. Now, my opponent from Team Proposition spoke. Team Proposition made reference that we said that we spoke saying opposing the motion is the provision of free farmlands will fuel corruption, but that's a misconception. We never said that. And now she hammered on the false fact, on the false statement that land as we spoke of lands, and that land is only the first sector of production, the first factor of production. But the motion today does not tell us that the government are ready to provide these other factors of production. It's only says provision of free farmlands. The motion does not say we will go ahead to produce other skills that we need, the skills and infrastructure. And Team Proposition claims that distributing free land automatically creates jobs, but there's where their case collapses. Land alone creates no jobs. Now, come to think of it, in my home Nasarawa state, the 2023 Youth and Agri-Business Scheme distributed free farmlands to hundreds of youths. But what happened? Nearly 6 months later, over 40% of these farms were left abandoned due to lack of security, due to insecurity, lack of irrigation, and absence of startup capital. Now, if it's failure, how much more nationwide? As my second speaker has said, many Nigerians, both young and old, seek sustainable income in technology, education, commerce, and manufacturing. Even the Nigerian Bureau of Statistics, in the second quarter of this year, 2025, reported that agricultural share of GDP fell to 22%, while digital and service industry grew up by 14%. So I ask, why do we invest in the past when the future is already here? Panel of adjudicators, my team had earlier emphasized the reality of ICT and digital revolution. But it is quite disappointing that the proposition fails to recognize this transformation, shaping today's employment landscape. The truth remains that today's world is powered by artificial intelligence, computer technology, and digital innovation. Countries like India, Kenya, China, and the United States have reduced unemployment, not by giving out free land, but by investing in the ICT hubs that empowers millions. Even here in Nigeria, the NITSTAR 2025 report confirmed that over 2 million digital jobs were created through ICT-driven initiatives, which is 10 times more than the jobs that have been generated from agriculture within that same period. Therefore, while farming may feed us, it is clear to understand that technology stands at the front liners of our economy. Free farmland cannot stand as a lasting solution to empowerment, to unemployment in this digital age. Now let's confront the reality that Team Proposition ignored: security. Across Nigeria's middle belt to the southern coast, insecurity has crippled farming communities. In Plateau State, Punch newspaper reported in 2024 that over 1,500 farmlands were destroyed and hundreds of farmers killed and displaced in Mangu, Bokos, and Barkinladi local government area of Plateau State. And in Benue State, the home to my worthy opponent, in June, not quite long, in June 2025, the UNICEF Humanitarian Situation Report confirmed that attack in Yelwata, that's Guma local government area of Benue State, left about 200 people dead and more than 3,000 residents displaced. Those were farmland turned into graveyard, and not opportunities. Even in my own Nasarawa state, communities in Doma and Awe local government came under assault this year, with about 3,000 villagers fleeing after farmlands were burned and farmers were killed. You can confirm that in the Punch News of 24 June 2025. And this wave of terror has not spared the South. In Ondo State, the Guardian News reports in March 2025 that armed robbers invaded farmlands in Akurenet, killing farmers and endangering the Southwest food output. So tell me, what employment exists where fear reigns? Free farmland without peace is not empowerment. I tell you for free, it is endangerment. The legal and structural flaws. My first supporting speaker revealed the economic and security barriers and tied every thread back to the reality of Nigeria today. Panel of adjudicators, we have proved beyond every reasonable doubt that free farmland is economically unfeasible, agriculturally unproductive, and socially unsustainable. It ignores the realities of skill, security, and technology, offering land without livelihood and hope without harvest. Our stand remains firm, unshaken, because we speak from it. Our stance remains unshaken because we speak from evidence, we speak from experience, and we speak the true needs of our nation today. While the idea of free farmland sounds promising, without insecurity, infrastructure, and proper training, it becomes an empty promise. Therefore, though we acknowledge its intention, the reality remains: free farmland cannot effectively reduce unemployment. Nigeria today needs innovation. We don't need acres of land. Panel of adjudicators, therefore, since Team Proposition have failed to debunk our established facts, they have failed to prove our motion wrong. Team Opposition deserves to have this debate. Thank you.
Of 6 minutes, 8 seconds. Now we are going to have our reply speeches from the other one. You can choose who make your reply speech. That's for just 2 minutes. And we are going to start from Team Opposition for reply speech. Your time starts in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Standing on the already established protocols, my name is Peace Eli, still representing Nasarawa State, and I'm here to back up the opposition team point. Honorable House, my opponents here have succeeded in painting a utopian picture about this motion today. They have succeeded in outlining the advantages of agriculture. But mind you, as we debate on this topic, we must recognize that the question before us today is not about outlining the advantages, but rather seeing if the government should actually give free land to curb unemployment in the nation. We must therefore resist the temptation of shifting the arguments, else we will just be chasing shadows rather than the real issue. My opponents here mentioned that free farmland will create job opportunities, but may I remind you that job opportunity is not automatic with land provision. Without capital in entrepreneurship and other factors of distribution, mind you, the land will be useless. My opponents also mentioned that Nigeria has abundant arable land. But let me tell you, according to the UNCCD in 2025, a recent research for that matter, over 350,000 hectares of land is being wasted annually due to desertification and erosion. They also mentioned that about 98 million hectares are free in Nigeria. If 350 hectares is being displaced every year, then we will have no longer free land. In summary, we live in a world that's at the edge of a technological revolution. We must recognize that growing free farmland is not the answer to unemployment. It may be the answer to subsistence agriculture, but certainly not employment. With all this we have said, I believe that team opposition should have the debate because it's unequivocally clear that no, the motion should fall. I rest my case.
Total of 1 minute 42 seconds. Now can we have our reply speaker from opposition? Your time starts in 5, 4, 3, 1.
Panel, I am back on stage to summarize the argument and take a firm stand of my team in our case motion. But finally, before I proceed my summary, I would like to draft out some things that side opposition did that are unacceptable in this debate. My opponent, it is laughable that you don't have mastery of this motion, because if you did, you don't have been reading fluently and refused vehemently to answer a pure given from our proposing teams. My judges, my team and I gave 2 POIs, 2 different tests, and they refused to answer because they knew that they have no backings to support their stand in this motion. Panel and my audience, side opposition also said that how will you panel and my audience? Side opposition said that free farmland will lead to wastage of farmland. How will these lands be wasted when these lands are given freely to others so that they can invest in it? These people are the unemployed. These people are the ones seeking for a means for their living. Don't you think giving these lands that are supposed to be wasted to them will help? Also, the rebuttal speaker said the reply speaker said something of 350,000 hectares of land being wasted. Don't you think that the government can recycle this land and also help and provide these people looking for jobs? Aside that, my audience, my opponents, your argument was based on insecurity. Don't you think, Team Nasarawa, that if your government puts in this free farmland, it will reduce the rate of killing because most of the killing are coming from your state? Don't you think that this government, if your government and our government, even Nigeria as a whole, implement this, it will help us and it will better our economy? Panel and my audience, it is laughable that our opponents came here to present baseless, waterless, and even childish debates in our argument, bringing in insecurity, knowing fully well that these people that bring this insecurity in our society are people who are unemployed and have nothing to do, and they are being paid by other people to do such works. Panel and my audience, it is crystal clear, as my team and I spoke on, increased GDP, increased income, youth engagement, gender empowerment, among other points, without more challenge from our opponents. Let the motion stand. Thank you.
Total of 2 minutes 7 seconds, and that leads us to the end of this round. Thank you all speakers for your thoughtful arguments and engagements in today's debate. It's been a stimulating exchange of ideas, and each of you brought valuable perspectives to the table. Regardless of the outcome, your preparation and passion were clearly evident. As we close this preliminary round, I'd like to thank our judges for their time and insight, and our audiences for their attention and support. So now we are going to hand over to our judges to finalize their decisions. So best of luck to all the teams, and we look forward to seeing more great debates ahead. Now we'll give our judges some time to accumulate all the results and tell us who won this round.
Okay, thank you, Memuna, for a wonderful job you have been doing since on Tuesday, and thank you everybody for your dedication and everything. This debate is a cracker. This Benue State and Nasarawa, in fact, they are match opponents. They match themselves. So, and I'm happy that the only issue now that they have five female against 1 male. That's the problem now. So, but it's not a problem. So we'll look at the judges will give the verdict. Like she said that what is not a do or die affair. one person must win, and we have already gotten one team from your group. Plateau have already qualified, so we are looking for one more state that will join Plateau State in the national. So would that be Benue or would that be Nasarawa State? I don't know, but the judges will determine who will qualify. So I will allow judges to give their verdict in a very brief but detailed, so just be very brief so that I can able to round up on time. So who is ready? Who is ready? Who is ready? Are you ready? What's going on now? What's going on? The judges. Okay, Adebayo, let's go. Adebayo, let's hear from you.
Yeah, so thank you very much for this speech, Team Nasarawa and Team Benue. It was a really good speech, and like you guys were like tightly matched. But let me just give my OA. So like I said, Benue and I commend Nasarawa. The first speaker defined the terms, did properly define terms, set clear narratives, and like brought out the points that free farmland leads to increased income, youth engagement, food production, GDP, a lot of points, and it was really good. Yes, Nasara also came and like they responded and they said, okay, land is not like truly free, and like distribution will be politicized. This is where I had the problem. Like this was a very good argument. The politicization of distribution of this farmland. The only thing is you guys just mentioned it. You did not give any like proper analysis on it. If you guys are giving proper analysis on it, like you guys would have gone way ahead in this debate than you would have imagined. And also, it came with the whole thing of like when I'm saying politicization of this debate, like of farmland, like okay, government to just give, oh, you're supporting so party, the farmland is for you. If you are not supporting them, we're not giving farmland. If you want the free farm, support us. Like it could have explained this and showed that okay, government are not necessarily like good guys and all of that, but we don't get that from you. And if you are done that, you are being a good debate. Benue second speaker came with like the whole angle of crime reduction, food security, and export potential. Very good point. The Nasarawa second speaker also argued that productivity is not guaranteed in this farmland, and like skills are lacking, and like training is lacking, and all of that. But Benue came back to do rebuttals that okay, like government is not necessarily stupid. They're giving you these farmlands, they're going to train you, they're going to give you necessary tools and materials for you to like be productive on the farmland. Yes. So what are and these are all good points. I just like briefly describe what happened in the room. Yes. What are the clashes in this debate? Because the first question is like, does free farmland necessarily mean unemployment? Yes. The government side, which is proposition side, came to say that okay, farmland means to okay, the youth will not be idle again. They will have money and unemployment and all of that. Yes. Opposition side said like youth don't even want to farm and youth don't even want to like if they don't want to farm, then productivity is not guaranteed. So what's the essence of giving farmland to those people that don't want to farm? This was like a major clash, but I'm giving this to the proposition, which is Team Benue on this, because they showed us a clear chain of give them farmland, they will not be idle, they'll get money and all of that. We did not get that from opposition side, which is per se. Yes, I'm sorry. I'm because there's no time, so I'm just trying to like rush through. So on practicality and sustainability, yes, just they did not like really analyze, but they mentioned it, and they mentioned we're going to have constitutional issues as per the distribution of lands, which is of course of land, because land is not like free. There's also came because of insecurity and all of that. They did not flesh out these ideas. That's the problem with it. Like they had a lot of cases, but they did not beautifully explain it. You guys are spending quite a lot of time explaining constitution and okay, section this, section this. You could have done more analyzing these points that you have. However, in the whole case of practicality and sustainability, Team Benue still Nasarawa rather, which is team opposition.
I don't know if the audio is done.
Not done. It's not done. Maybe okay. It's back online now. I don't know. Continue from where you.
My network.
Yes. Continue from where you stop so that we can hear you. Yeah, still about Nasarawa.
Please, where did you get my like on the whole case of practicality? I gave it to like the opposition side, which is Team Nasarawa, right? Yes. So lastly, the last clash was there's security and crime, and like that's what the opposition side and the proposition side argued about, like security be more in our order or not. Opposition said farms are not safe, and like terrorists will attack farmers and all of that. You give them free lands. Yes. Proposition says unemployment will fuel crime, and crime will like, and by the time you like engage youths and give them farmland, it will like reduce insecurity. Yes. Opposition side gave a preventive solution that there's this problem, we're going to give them farmland to reduce this problem. Now opposition side said, if you give them this farmland, there's going to be insecurity. They are just identify a problem that can be possibly happen. You do not give any solution because eventually terrorists will still attack individuals, give them this farmland or not give them this farmland. So it does not necessarily like influence this debate per se. Yes. As for presentation and technique, you guys were like wonderful. You guys gave like really good debate, like good structure, good analysis. You could have done better analysis, but good analysis it's a very okay debate. For my final verdict, based on the clashes and based on what everybody brought to this debate, proposition side to me, which is Team Benue, painted a clearer plan, clearer the benefits, clearer effects, clearer like they debated it by showing there's this problem already existing, and by the time you give them these free farmlands, this problem will cease to exist. Opposition side, they were not able to like show us that what they should have done was these problems will still persist, that even if you give them this farmland, there will still be unemployment. We did not get that like from opposition side per se. And sorry, like I'm sorry if I'm bringing this extra thing. What you should have done as opposition, I'm giving this debate to Benue, which is proposition, by the way. Opposition side, just for like future thing or just to learn. Yes, I'm sorry, I'm taking a little bit of time. You should have taken this debate to this farmland, even if you give them to go, even if you give it to farmland, this farm brothers of these lands, if you give them to youth for farmlands, they will not like necessarily solve unemployment because they could have been better alternatives. Like, let us use these farmlands to build industries. That you should have shown us that if we had used these farmlands to build industries will have provided better employment opportunities than farmlands. Like I don't know if you get what I'm saying. You should have shown that these lands should not be used for just farming purposes, and you should have underrated agriculture. But that's what debating about. We all know agriculture is good, but like you should have rubbish agriculture. That agriculture is like a arrant waste of land. Like you can have used this for industrial purposes, you can use it for education purposes, you can use it for other purposes. If you are taking this debate in that angle, that there is so much other things we could have used these farmlands to do rather than just giving them to youth, and you acknowledge government's case and say, like we are going to give them, they're going to farm and all of that. Like there's so much other things you could have actually done with this land, like industrialization, and it shows us that industrialization will do way more and we contribute way more to the economy than agriculture, you would have edged your government side or your proposition side this debate. By the way, you guys did a good job, and I give it to Benue. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for that verdict. Benue one, Nasarawa 0. So we allow Mr. Benson Obu to give his own bit. Okay, Silas, are you ready?
Yes, I am.
Please, you have to be very brief. Please try and be brief.
Okay, sir. I will try. I will try my best to be brief. All right. Good evening, everyone. So the motion was this house would provide like free farmland to reduce unemployment in Nigeria. And I felt like the debate was interesting and engaging from the both sides, from both Benue State and Nasarawa State. And I felt that the burden on the both team is one, like they should prove in which ward are we better able to have like employment in Nigeria. So I think that was like the main bulk of like on the both side. So is it in the ward whereby we have like free land for individual, or in a ward whereby the alternative like opposition bring about in the debate? So I'll be weighing the both side from like this particular burden that they had in the debate. So in which word are we better able to like to provide employment for individual? So proposition Team Benue told us about like how they are going to give free land and individual. Then I have problem with Benue State. Benue State was not able to like to show us how this free land will look like. This is a policy motion entirely. This is a policy motion, and you are meant to show us how does your like free land policy work like. So you are meant to show, first of all, that okay, this free land is meant to be for those that maybe companies that want to build trades or industries, or maybe people that want to go into large scale farming or stuff like that. And if you're able to show that you entirely armed like the issues of like coming from opposition side and all of that. And then if you're able to show secondly that free land is not mainly going to be like every person in the society is going to get this free land and all of that. But I didn't see that from your own end, but I didn't think it affected your speech, but I think that was what we were meant to do from the beginning of the speech of debate. So you talked about like your social benefits, where you talk about gender empowerment and youth engagement and crime reduction, and then economic benefits of this, and then talked about like job creation, rural immigration, and all that. Then on opposition side, what we largely saw in opposition was the issues of like legal implication of this like free land given to individual free land, and then secondly like issues of security threats for individuals that are farmers already, and then how this individual cannot even like afford like input the things that make farmers to be more productive. So at the end of the day, giving them free land will not metamorphose to like productivity from the end of the proposition. But I don't see that like as a credit.
Let's wait for him. Maybe he has network issue. He's coming back. Let's wait for him. So thank you.
Sorry, I cannot hear anything. I don't know if it's just me.
No, it's everywhere. Salas just left. Maybe he has a network issue. It's coming back. Let's just wait for him.
Okay.
Try to shut him up on WhatsApp. Emmanuel, let's hear your own while we wait for this guy. Emmanuel, let's hear you.
All right. Am I audible, please?
Very audible, very.
Okay, so on the premise of this debate, I actually like the two arguments that both teams were able to bring due to the aspects, because when you're looking at this motion, right, it's somewhat of a position motion in the sense of you're trying to say the two teams are trying to bring the argument that, okay, this stuff is beneficial because it's going to curb unemployment, or it's not beneficial because it's not going to do anything for employment. So on that basis, when proposition, that is Team Benue, came and they gave their argument on the basis, they gave characterization, which was one very clever thing I actually liked. They gave characterization. Not only did they do that, they also tagged the people, the main people that are going to, that this unemployment has affected, which is essentially women and youth. Their own justification for bringing in women is that women are one of the major people that bring in.
Emmanuel, please, sorry.
Salas
is back. Can we just let him finish his own, please?
Okay.
Please. Thank you. Salas, take over.
All right, so sorry about that. I don't know what kicked me out. So as I was saying, so largely from the debates, let me just end this OA. I don't think I need to waste a lot of time now. So largely from what happened from the debates, we are able to see in what word are we having better urgent response to unemployment. So I saw the alternative from opposition at a last minute from the third speaker, and I felt that was largely unnecessary in the debate again, because your alternative was meant to come from your first speaker and not your last speaker. So Adibi, you talked about the investing in ICT hubs and all of that from your first speaker, and then if the proposition side were not able to counter that model, then that could be the only place you guys would have won. But at the end of the day, I felt like the people that were able to respond to how this largely unemployment can be reduced and all of that, and then immediate response to this unemployment is the word of Benue State. Yeah.
Benue State is Mr. Salas gave it to Benue State. That's 2-0. So let's hear from Mr. Emmanuel. Mr. Emmanuel.
Okay. So as I was saying, for the provision, they brought up the two people that were the two market audience for this motion, which was women and youth. Women essentially saying that women are one of the major people that indulge in agriculture, but yes, they benefit the little because of one, they don't have farmland, and they try and they borrow farmlands from other people, and two, they don't have enough resources to do these things. They also now mentioned youth, as youth are one of the major people in the pool of unemployment going forward. So they also essentially trying to say that with this large amount of people, it
would be fair for them to bring in the policy of giving out free land, because it not only will boost the economy, but it will also reduce the crime that is going forward. Then opposition now, I really liked opposition argument, because their main point was that this giving of farmland is not actually going to curb unemployment. The reason why it's not going to curb unemployment is due to the fact that many of these youths that you're using, because they turn argument against, are saying that if you're saying youths are major people that suffer from unemployment, youths within the modern world today don't necessarily like focusing on agriculture, and they would rather focus on other urban types of jobs. So you bringing up the argument of, oh, this is women, youths are unemployed, and they are saying you should give them free land, because they're not saying that their interest is not there. So if you're going to give them this free land, they will not necessarily use it for anything, because at the end of the day, their interest is not focused on there. They now asked a very clever POI, which was on the basis of, are you trying to put that now overturn the argument for women? Are you trying to push for recognition, or are you trying to push for the basis of unemployment? Which Team Benue now came and said they're trying to push for the basis of recognition, and that was not the premise of the debate. You're supposed to focus on the fact that this is why you should give them free land, and this is why you should give them free land, and this is why free land will now remove the factor of unemployment. And that was the major thing they did not necessarily focus on. They brought up the people that, okay, these are the people that it's going to affect, and this is why you should do it. But they were more focused on the basis of the metrics as, women, so that women will be equal and this and this. But they did not focus on the factor of why it's beneficial to give out free land. They did, but they did not give much extension on it. So also, the same thing also goes for the opposition as Team Nasarawa, because they came and they gave very good points, saying that, okay, this is what is going to happen. It's not going to amount to anything, and rather than focusing on and giving out free land is not going to do anything. They now also stated the point that insecurity is also a factor, because at the end of the day, people that are farming are also suffering from various ways of insecurity, lack of infrastructure, such as the development of machinery to do this, and poor knowledge, so on and so forth. So this was basically what they were trying to explain. This was what they explained. We also carved out proposing argument. Another thing they did, but like they also tried to focus too much on the tried to focus too much on the explanation on how land is constitutional and everything, which also limited their argument power then and there. But overall, when it comes to the basis of argument analysis, when it also comes to framing, I would give the win to Team Nasarawa.
Okay, so Team Nasarawa 2-1 so far. So we'll give to the last judge, from our own end to now give it. So this is our last judge. So if we happen to have a draw result, that means we can now decide to either do a run or to look at cumulative points and see who qualifies among the two. So because Team Nasarawa already had one win, and I don't know what Antibelo also have one win so far. So if this is a draw, in case whatever the judge will give, we will not decide on our own end who qualifies. So it's not on our hand, no more on your hand. So let's hear from the judge, the final judge.
No, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, Team Nasarawa and Team Benue, and my fellow educators. From the three analysis, I think you spoke my mind, all of you. So I will not go into details again, rather than just to pinpoint some areas which any of the debating team, be it Nasarawa, be it Benue, be it other ones that are still to debate. One, in the introduction, you have to, define your terms. Define your terms, which I see is not very pronounced in these ones. Then also the scope of the topic or the motion. You have to tell us the scope. It has all been mentioned earlier. Then when it comes to POI. I've always, stand on that. Dodging POI or not knowing how to put your POI is not the best thing in debate. Then management of time. I think this time around, we will see them exceeding time, especially Benue, exceeding the time allotted for them. These are part of areas that you will be penalized if you continue. So, in summary, it has been a very, 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 very keen debate. The two of you put up a fight that I don't know how to put it again, but it was a very keen debate. From my own end here, I give it to Team Nasarawa.
Okay, so that means unfortunately we have for the first time, we normally in debate we're supposed to have an odd number, but I know why I wanted to do this thing even so that we can even be talking about draw, because we have other characters that are going to judge you now based on your head of things you have done so far in the debate, your tasks and everything. So we look at all those everything, and this is the first time we're having draw in this debate. So we'll get back to you people before 7 p.m. to now determine who qualifies. Out of two of you, one will go and one will qualify and one will be knocked out. So that's a draw. But we're going to look at the point and everything and see the team that will qualify. So by 7 p.m. today, you will see the official 8 teams that are going for the nationals. So I thank you very much for everything. I want to recommend you. People did a wonderful job. So and at the end of the day, one person will win. So thank you.